Liberty Nation. Truth is making a comeback.
Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation's LNTV. I'm today's host, Mark Angelides, and we're coming to you fresh off the Senate Judiciary Committee vote to advance Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Now, calling this confusing may be an understatement, so to help us navigate through the swampy mess, I'm joined by Liberty Nation's legal megamind, Mr. Scott D. Cosenza. Thanks for being here, Scott.
Thank you, Mark. It has been a heck of a day and a heck of a week here. While I pride myself on somewhat being a good Supreme Court analyst or observer, for this incident is sort of half legal and even maybe a little more half just Senate manipulation. So we'll have to muddle through the best we can. But it's nice to see you. Great.
So, I mean, the first question, clearly, is the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's voted 11-10 to advance to the next stage with Judge Kavanaugh. So procedurally, what happens next?
Procedurally, what happens is, just like a regular bill that would be heard by the Senate, introduced to a committee, the committee would vote on the bill. Same thing with the nomination. They have voted on it. They've approved it and passed it to the rest of the body. It will then be considered by the Senate as a whole whenever that vote is scheduled. We don't yet know at the time of this recording when that scheduling will take place, and it'll just be voted on like any regular bill, although unlike other bills that would move through the Senate that would be passed, they may go then to the House for consideration. Of course, this is just a Senate only because that's their constitutional prerogative given the advice and consent role in the Constitution.
Advice and consent, right. So, I mean, what everybody's talking about with this, and not that I have social media or anything, but social media in general has gone through the roof with this, is Jeff Flake. Now, we watched as he was sort of corralled, I think is the American term, is corralled into a side room and had the harpies of government dripping either honey or poison into his ears.
Well, so let's explain. So Jeff Flake did vote for the nomination to pass out of committee. That's how they got a majority vote. And what he said was that he will withhold his vote in the future vote to move the nomination out of the Senate itself, unless a week's delay is granted for where the FBI will undertake to investigate at least some of the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. Precisely which ones he kind of left open, but it seems at least the ones of Christine Ford, who testified before the Senate subcommittee.
Just an odd aside here, but do you think that, other than Jeff Flake, do you think that a week's investigation, which bear in mind I'm pretty sure has already taken place, other than the Christine Ford, I'm not sure what they're really going to achieve through asking the same questions again. But do you think that if it comes back that it's situation as is now, Dr. Ford sticks to her story, Brett Kavanaugh sticks to his story, and the people who have already given their, sworn declarations under penalty of felony.
Penalty of perjury. It's a felony perjury offense is what it is, right?
If they stick to what they've already said now, do you think this is going to change anybody's mind in the Senate from what they already think today?
Well, one thing that Jeff Flake said today, and he seemed to be sincere in his statement, was that this is about healing the country in some sense, that we are so torn. And I can tell you it is palpable. The social media, it's the tension is so thick that you can cut it with a knife. We are seemingly at dagger's draw, so many of us in this country, over this nomination and the process. So while I would say no to your question, I don't think many will change their mind. Perhaps the level of vitriol or this sort of meme or idea that they're pushing that it was like some sort of illegitimate nomination or vote, maybe that could be reduced. And given the stakes, meaning the future of the Republic, and I mean that seriously, perhaps it's worth a shot.
Okay, you mentioned that there's such a serious division in the country. It's actually very similar to in my country with the Brexit vote. People are the lines are drawn, and there appears to be no give on either side. It's a very worrying time, I think, for everybody.
Mark, if Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies when Donald Trump or another Republican is president of the United States. The way things are right now, if we follow that trajectory or graph line up, I think we're headed towards, I hate to say it, but violence in the streets.
I can well believe it. I really can. So we'll move on to the next question. Is there anybody with any confidence at the moment about whether Kavanaugh is going to be finally confirmed? Like, are the Democrats feeling any more confident after today? Are the Republicans feeling any more confident after today?
It's hard for me to imagine. It's hard for me to imagine that any or either of those parties feel confident or better about their future, their immediate or near-term future going forward. Perhaps, to the extent that Democrats got a Republican to say that there should be a delay, maybe that's, if there's a win, if you want to count political win, then perhaps that's a political win. But beyond that, no, it seems like all losers, including all Americans today.
Okay. So not a happy day, even though many Republicans were pinning a lot of hopes on this. It still doesn't seem as though it's...
I think it's awful, Mark. Now, there surely have been darker days in the Republic, but this is one of them. And I think that we'll just have to take a cue from your people and keep a step off our lip and soldier on.
All right, last question, Scott. Is this the new normal? With the division, for example, at the moment it's 51 Republicans and 49 mix of Democrats and independents in the Senate. Is it the new normal that all bills, all legislation is going to go strictly down party lines? So we can, for example, predict that if it's a conservative piece of legislation, there'll be 51 votes.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case because of the various interests that put senators in their place. So if there's an interest, for instance, that benefits commercial fisheries, the coastal senators or senators that represent coastal states presumably will have one way of viewing at those things regardless of their party affiliation. So there are some bills and legislation that do break along those ideological lines, but I think most of that it doesn't. And but I'm not LibertyNations.com's congressional analyst, but that's my take on it.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm a little bit clearer on this now, Scott, so I really appreciate you taking the time and your expertise on this.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, and thank you to you at home for watching. We really do appreciate your engagement. If you want to get more access to videos, radio, podcast, and some really excellent articles that we put out every day, head over to LibertyNation.com. You can also download our app from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. I think it's called an Apple Store. And most importantly, press subscribe, press like, and check in for our next videos. Until next time, thank you for watching. Be safe and take care of yourselves.
Visit us at LibertyNation.com.